24 months on, so many labours and so many journeys under the bridge, worldwide fitness racing, and now it's time to speed things up. Hello and welcome to On The ROX podcast with me, Coach Marshy. Hope everyone's really well. I'm super excited about today's guest because almost exactly 2 years ago to this very day, we first met in this very setting and we're now back. So I'm really pleased to welcome back to the show, Mr. Jason Curtis. How are you, Jay?
Very well. Yeah, really good. It's amazing. It's been 2 years. It was the exact same spot, wasn't it? And yeah, it's amazing. It's incredible to think it's so much has happened in that time. I'm at home today with the two kids because they both got chicken pox. So if they suddenly come running in asking a million questions, that's why.
That's fair, mate.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, no, and we met here, I think, before the first race ever actually even took place. But before we get into anything, I just wanted to say from my point of view, sort of on behalf of my team here as an affiliate of Deadly Dozen now, but also as a podcaster and on behalf of other podcasters such as Ian and everyone else, the access and the information that you've given to us and the opportunities you've given to us to report on your race has been massively appreciated by all of us.
No, I really, it works both ways. I really appreciate it too. The amount of support I was given from both yourself and Ian K has been huge, and others. But you guys have been you're essentially, staff now, aren't you? Really, almost at the races. You guys are you run your podcast, you have your things, you do what you do, but you've just been so supportive of what we're doing, and we've sort of welcomed you with open arms because you guys are the folk on the ground reporting on fitness racing, really care, really passionate about the sport. And so with us being a race that wanted to be more than just an event, in one location in the UK or even just in the UK, it was really, really important for me to sort of welcome you guys and go, look, here it is. Like, come and have a look at it, come and have a go, come and report on it, come and see what it's all about and give us your honest feedback and, be a part of it. We wanted to be, as you'll know, from a spectator point of view, from a competitor, we're very sort of open. It's a very much a community-based event. And it's been really good for me to see that the likes of yourself and Ian have come on board and gone, you know what, this is great. We really want to be a part of it. We want to follow the journey. And it's massively helped what we've been doing.
Yeah, no, it's been a great journey so far. And if we kind of go back to 24 months ago, we met in this exact position. We'd never met before at that point. You came on and you'd not long done the UK Fitness Racing podcast with Ian, and there was some concerns from both of us that we might just replicate the same episode. We didn't, and it was great. And you talked about the first race that was coming up. Talk to me very briefly about that last 2 years from when we met to now and where you are right now as a race, as a company, compared to where we started.
Yeah, so I'll try and give a little bit of a TLDR because I'm known for waffling on a little bit. And a lot of people might have heard it, but essentially what's happened is we released the first race in June, slow sales to start, and then all of a sudden it sold out. Launched September, sold out rapidly. Ended up doing 5 races in the first year in the UK, just in Macclesfield. Year 2 decided, right, let's go UK wide. Ended up doing 9 races in the UK. And they all sold out. Great races, and we were London, we were Edinburgh, we were all around the UK. But at the same time, I decided, let's take it worldwide. Let's go in with this. Obviously, sort of dove in head first to go, how am I going to do this? How am I going to organize it legally, financially? How does it all work? So Deadly Dozen's not had any investors, no major sponsors, nothing like that. So no cash has changed hands. It's all been built off the ticket sales off the first race in Macclesfield and going on. And obviously, I've been I've just been putting everything back into Deadly Dozen. I don't take away from Deadly Dozen. I've just been growing, reinvesting, and hopefully it'll work. So we eventually started to bring on directors globally, and they started to launch events. The very first one I went to internationally was in Texas, Houston, Texas. Since then, we've had dozens of events in South Africa. We've had events in the USA, in Mexico. We've had events in New Zealand, Australia, Malta, Germany. We're expanding into France. So we're in over a dozen locations running the main event, which is the track race. But we also launched what will be now 12 gym races, such as the Deadly Strong, the Deadly Row, the Deadly Ski, all that sort of stuff. When it comes to affiliate gyms, we're now in over 35 countries, and we're going to be expanding that rapidly in the next 12 months because of a sort of new system that we've come up with. So yeah, in the last 2 years, we've gone from a race in Macclesfield in the UK, small town in Cheshire, to being in gyms in over 35 countries, main track races selling out in over a dozen countries. And our aim is to essentially become one of the biggest fitness races in the world. We've got a dozen gym races. We've got track races. One thing we'll be talking about today is with the track race being our main event, we've now getting an indoor version of that because of our indoor track. So that's something we're going to talk about today. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind journey. And one of the main things I've been concentrating on is building a team. We've opened up the Institute in Macclesfield, a huge 10,000 square foot gym for fitness racing, but also strength and conditioning as a whole. We have an academy which qualifies personal trainers, and we'll be launching a fitness racing sort of certification. So yeah, a lot's been going on, but we've all come towards the point now that in 2026 where we've got a UK champs, we've got a world championships, and there's other national championships happening around the world. So yeah, I'll cut it there because otherwise I'll just keep going on.
Yeah, no, and let me tell anyone who's listening or watching that Institute of Fitness Racing by the Deadly Dozen is something very special. And all your guys tell me, Jay, that Macclesfield is now famous for two things: silk and the Deadly Dozen.
Exactly, that's it. Well, that's the aim, yeah, because Macclesfield was traditionally a silk town full of industrial mills, very English, very British. And there's something I love about the Institute. We're on like an old cobbled street. It's a huge building. It was an ex-power. It was the power station. So it's over 100 years old, the building. And it was a power station. It fueled the whole of Macclesfield. So it's next door to basically George Street Silk Mill, which was one of the silk mills. We were famous for producing silk. That was the power station built in the early 1900s. And it generated all the power for Macclesfield, which was an industrial town. So I absolutely love the building. All the staircases are, they're over 100 years old. We've got the big gantry cranes that must have moved heavy machinery around the building. So it's an unbelievable building. I'm very proud to have it. And obviously it's been built for all forms of training. It's an open gym for everyone, but obviously we lean into Deadly Dozen and also Decker and High Rocks and other fitness races.
Yeah, no, it's certainly special, and you've got all the gear in there as well, which is great to see. And having used it as well from a consumption point of view, I got to say I really enjoyed having everything available just there, ready to use. It was a really good setup. So yeah, no, cool. So talking about I said there right at the beginning, it's now time for things to speed up. Literally in the word sprint, deadly sprint. Just recently on your Instagram, you've released it. There's going to be a new race, the Deadly Sprint. The question I've got is, where does this even start to happen in terms of a concept? Is there a particular discussion? Did something happen that made you go, why are we not doing this?
So the backbone of all the Deadly Dozen concepts, so all the gym races, were when I first wrote so before I launched the Deadly Dozen, I decided I'm going to write a training manual on it that just covers it, because it's one of the best ways to flesh out ideas. And as you're writing about rules and how to train for the race, starts to sort of, it's like brainstorming. So it's, over 300 pages about the Deadly Dozen, and also borrowing from the other training manuals to, how to squat, how to deadlift, stuff like that. So a lot of the concepts were there. Now, I always knew that there's outdoor tracks. There's over 600 in the UK, over 100,000 we reckon worldwide, and they're 400 meters standardized. You do get some different distances like 300 meter tracks, but generally it's a 400 meter track standardized, and that's the USP of the Deadly Dozen, is that there's these standardized arenas all over the world. But there is indoor arenas as well. Now they're 200 meters predominantly, and originally I was like, right, you could do outdoor, indoor. Everyone was saying, oh, you'll do indoor tracks, but there's not enough room in the middle. So you'd have to run 2 laps. That would be fine. They are smaller, but there's not enough room. So when we run the outdoor race, we essentially have this big rectangle of the infield, and that's enough room to put now 1,000 people going through. Half of them might be running. Obviously, there's not all 1,000. That's throughout the day, and a load of them are on the inside doing, the farmers carry, the deadlift. Now the distance labours, because as you know, it goes distance labour, rep labour, distance labour, rep labour. So farmers carry, deadlift, walking lunge, snatch. You need the width because otherwise everyone will be crawling all over each other. Now, when it comes to the indoor tracks, you don't have that much room. So you couldn't really run the full scale deadly dozen. So my original idea was we'll run DFTs. So the deadly fitness test was always designed to be half the race. And rather than using the distance labours that require a lot of space, it just uses the 6 rep labours because you only need a dumbbell, kettlebells, and some weight plates. And anyone, even in your garage or in your living room, you could run a DFT essentially, run out the door, go for a run. You can run row ski, bike, air bike it. So it's an incredibly accessible test that I created to be a test for the Deadly Dozen. So that was originally what I was going to do on the indoor tracks. I was going to do like a DFT with the rep labours and a DFT with the distance labours on indoor tracks. But then we just thought, well, why not just, and actually part of the inspiration was from the team as well, was the youth event that we released was 50% of the Deadly Dozen. And rather than working over the 30-meter labour lanes, we're going to reduce it in half to 15 meters. So, but then we're looking at that and going, that's a really cool race. And especially, the youth do the full 400 on the outdoor track. This can be brought indoors. And what was really the light bulb moment was when we thought, right, all of the people that are competitive or fast or really like to push themselves are going to love this race because it's shorter, it's faster, still going to take most people around half an hour anyway. So it's a good length of race. It's not too short, but it's faster and harder. It's probably going to end up being harder for a lot of people than the full race because they're going to push so hard. And rather than doing 60 reps, you're doing 30. So for a lot of the hardcore men and women, they ain't stopping. They're just going to sprint round. 30 reps, they're going to sprint again. It's going to be horrendous. But then on the flip side of that, all of the beginners that look at Deadly Dozen and go 60 snatch and 60 goblet squats, then a 400. And you know what? It is a lot. Deadly Dozen's accessible. We market as accessible because it is. You can get fit enough to do it. Nothing's complex. Nothing's too heavy. However, it is a lot.
Yeah.
And therefore, we've got this race now that's indoors. It's great for all the people that are quite competitive, quite into fitness racing, really want to push themselves hard. And it's also like a brilliant entry point for everyone. So we were just like, I was like, wow, this is going to be amazing. But then I was like, are we going to be able to book these indoor tracks? How expensive are they going to be? And we've managed to book the English Institute Sport in Sheffield and Lee Valley in London. So we're good to go with 2 venues, amazing locations. So we're essentially putting 8 dates on the map, between 8 and 10 throughout the winter. So we're good to go.
So is there more? How many tracks are there in the UK that this could possibly happen at? Just as a ballpark.
So you've got one in Manchester. So the main ones, and one of the beauties of these, which was always the beauty of the tracks, is they're arenas. They've got like Sheffield's got 1,000 seats. So you've got the English Institute of Sport in Sheffield, which is an unbelievable location. You've got Lee Valley in London, which has got an indoor track. That's incredible. You've got Glasgow. You've got Cardiff, and you've got Manchester. And there might be a few others, but they're not. There are others, but they're not necessarily built for the event. So we need it to be, if we're going to do an indoor race with 1,000 people, we need to have that spectator experience and have all the seating and stuff like that. So essentially that's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 really solid venues. We're struggling to book the others because they're like, what's this? And also we do our outdoor track race season in the summer, and we're planning to go indoors in the winter. Obviously that's the indoor athletic season, and that for obvious reasons takes priority, and we understand that. But we've managed to book almost 10 dates, some 1-day events, some 2-day events. But actually, I'd like to run these throughout the year because I think what we're doing is track races outdoor every weekend from April to September, what I'll likely do is start the outdoor season in the UK. This is because in some countries they just run them year round because
Yeah.
it's nice weather all the time. We'll probably start it sort of mid to the end of April into May, start the outdoor season. I know we've got the UK champs end of May. That's usually where we'll have the national champs towards the end of spring. We will have indoor races, sprint races, because we imagine they're going to be so popular throughout the summer as well. But priority will be the outdoor races because that's, you know, where Deadly Dozen started. And then once it gets to September, the first weekend of September every year will be the World Championship for the outdoor race. And then you'll go into a lot more indoor races in the UK and wherever else worldwide there is. What I would like to do is have a World Championship for the sprint in the start of April, around April time. So essentially you go, right, outdoor season, you've got a World Championship end of the summer essentially, and then you've got a indoor championship in April time. And I think that creates an amazing sort of season in the UK, but obviously globally we're trying to tie everyone together. So in the sort of southern states of America, you know, the more southerly states, and in Mexico and some of Latin America, they can run events year round. I know South Africa, they're running them year round outdoor. But yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a clearer, yes, there will be some indoor events through the summer, but we'll try and pack them into the winter. So I essentially want 40, at least 30 to 40 main events every year. So people can race all around the UK.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And just going back to the spectator thing, some of the bigger track outdoor stadia that we've been in so far, it's been a really good viewing point from the actual stadium seating itself. You've been able to just actually stay in one place really and kind of watch it like you'd watch athletics or football or rugby. You could almost sit and do it like Birmingham. That was a great example. But even at Lee Valley last year, you could sit in the actual stand that was at the event. Leicester just recently, like you could sit in the stand and watch the whole thing. In the indoor tracks, you mentioned that was an important part of it. It could actually be quite an atmosphere in there, I can imagine. Like when you think about 1,000 seats around a 200-meter track, you know, the people are going to be able to see really closely what's going on, right?
Yeah, well, you're literally going to be right over the top of it, the way the seating works when we were at Sheffield the other day. So you're going to be right on top of it. You can see everything. I think that's one of the best things about Deadly Dozen is that you see the entire race. And there was actually quite a lot of sort of people within the fitness racing space that were talking about it. When they've come to Deadly Dozen, they've said, this could be the most exciting race to watch because people will say, you know, is this sport watchable? Well, it's just racing. It's racing. It's like watching any type of race. Now, the beauty of Deadly Dozen is that you sit there like on athletics and you're watching a load of humans race each other, but they're not just racing around the track doing multiple laps. And that's actually, I know a lot of people only watch it when it's the Olympics, but it is quite exciting to watch when people are going backwards and forwards and maybe there's a front runner. But with Deadly Dozen, you've got these 12 labours in a row. And it was very exciting when we were watching, you know, Jake Williamson versus Dave Parkin and stuff like that. And you've got different names within it. And what you see is they might be beating them on the run, but then they get to goblet squats and they're really slow, and then they get to snatch, and it's all in one bubble. One of the things that we have with the outdoor tracks, especially a lot of the more local ones, you know, the smaller tracks, is you can't blast music. You can't create this massive event experience in terms of like the media because there's houses that surround it. They don't want you blasting music. They don't want all the bells and whistles going off. And actually, I think that's one of the good things about the outdoor tracks is it's not all blasting music. It feels like a really community. You know, some people use it as a criticism for fitness racing, like adult sports day and all that. And I'm like, yeah, it's like a load of adults having a good time doing physical training with friends and family, and it's nice and it's enjoyable. I don't see why people see it as a bad thing. But on the indoor races, you've obviously got these purpose-built arenas, and they're incredible arenas, these indoor tracks. So we can do more with the music, you can do more with the lighting, you can do more with the media team. You can turn it into like a fast and furious event, and it will be exciting to watch because essentially it's just a load of humans running around this 200-meter track, having to do all these labors in the middle like bear crawls and burpee broad jumps. It's going to be fast-paced, and it will be good to watch. I think the reason why fitness racing is watchable for people because the viewers are doing it as well. So the participants are the spectators, aren't they? So it's like, you know how it feels. So when people are watching records get broken, they're watching people do the burpee broad jump, they're watching people do the bear crawl, they know how horrible it is. So I think that's what makes fitness racing watchable, is because they've experienced it and they're actively doing the sport. And what makes Deadly Dozen more watchable than I think any other fitness race is that you are literally, you can view the whole race, you can see everyone at every point. And I think that's actually really a real strength of Deadly Dozen.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, you know, as a podcast that covers many of the fitness races, I think it's fair to say that it's almost, to watch the like elite race in High Rocks, it's better to watch it on the live stream, because you get to actually see more of it. Because if you're in there trying to battle to watch it, it is quite a bit of a brawl and a bit hard to see anything. But in terms of Deadly Dozen, in terms of the spectatorship, like, it's just going to be amazing to be able to watch the sprint from that kind of vantage point. I have been in an indoor track, the Lee Valley one, in particular, where those seating, it will just accommodate people to really be involved, and, you know, people will be able to hear things from the crowd as well, probably, which will be epic. And like you said, the whole media show of it as well will be great in terms of the music and the atmosphere. I liked what you said though, because I think you're right about the speed and like the elite side of it, but also the accessible bit. What I would say about our gym, and I can only talk on our data, we've already got people that have now entered that sprint on day one of release for the exact reason you said, because it's half. And then if they can then do that as a doubles as well, it's made it like very accessible, and they feel like they can do this big Deadly Dozen event, and they really feel like included in it. And I think that's a really good thing that you've hit. I don't know if that's kind of come across so far in the early entry point, but from our side, that's what we've seen. We've seen people actually enter this race because doing 30 reps between two people is no longer daunting. So they're going to really give it a go. We're talking about entry level fitness racers giving it a go.
Yeah, and that's, to us, I think a lot of fitness racers might portray this, but it is your bread and butter, is the every man, the every woman. Like the normal folk is your bread and butter, and they're the people you need to look after most. And what happens with any fitness race, and as you start seeing yourself more as a sport, and you're trying to get that legitimacy, and you want that sort of high-end medium promotional stuff, it does start to lean towards elites and people breaking records and people going fast. And I think there's that, it's almost like a power creep. There's that creep towards the elite. And I think it'll happen. It's like often quite inevitable for fitness races. They start leaning into, how do we, you know, like High Rocks, how do we get to Olympics? It's almost as a personal trainer, that often, how do I work with athletes? You know, there's that creep towards, how do I work with the best of the best? But the bottom line is the most rewarding clients I've ever worked with are the ones that are like the professional amateurs, just the hobbyists, because they're the ones that are just having the most fun and have the most flexibility and are really dedicated, and you see the most improvement. And for us, especially with Deadly Dozen, number one is always going to be like people having a good time doing a fitness race, because we are not ever going to be the sort of premium event space that High Rocks is in that convention. Right. And we don't want to be. We're not trying to be a competitor to High Rocks. Like, I love High Rocks. I love Deca. Deca's different as well. I love all the fitness races. We're trying to have something that's very, very unique. And for us, it's about, yes, it is about nurturing an elite side. And it's about bringing this sprint and going, right, this is fast and furious. We had the tagline fitness racing at full speed. But really, the best part of it is that if we can get thousands and thousands of people that it's an entry point into Deadly Dozen and fitness racing, then that's number one. Because if we can go, right, yeah, we want to push, this is fast and furious, it's going to red zone you. It's like all of us love that side of it, right? And we love the people suffering, and we love the people that are trying to break records. But what is the best part of fitness racing is fundamentally it's people having a good time doing fitness in the community. So yeah, if the number one benefit of the sprint is it's the entry point for people, then I'm happy, because everyone wants to be like, we're the hardest fitness race, or we're this, or we've got the most elite athletes, or we're the professional sport. But actually, it's like, if you're the one that's, you know, getting more people fitness racing and enjoying it, and developing that sort of habit of fitness and gamifying fitness, then that's going to be in my opinion, that's going to be the biggest race in the world.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I love the accessible side of it, and the availability of the main race and the gym races. But like you say, with this now, if this is going to be sort of, clearly there's already north and south locations, which is great. to see for the sprint. And as much as we've talked about the accessibility of it for everyone and the entry level people, in terms of like body makeup and body shape and, people that understand that kind of somatotype inside of sport, is there like a particular type of athlete that you think the sprint is going to probably favor?
I think what we're getting now is what was interesting actually was it was really interesting in the last outdoor races that we had. Obviously Dave is a bit shorter, right? And there's no denying that levers matter when it comes to lifting, right? Shorter thighs. If you're a big, tall individual, then it's a longer way to travel. We had a guy at Leicester, you seen it, he must have been about 6'8", and his clean and press, that weight ground to overhead or the snatch it's a long way to go. Whereas Dave's short and he moves rapidly. But then Jude comes along, who's about 6'5", and he goes sub 40. And it's like, it's amazing. And when it comes to somatotypes, so people might have heard of like mesomorph, ectomorph, endomorph, and that sort of stuff. But what most of the modern science shows is we're all, even though we do have genetics play a huge role, people's body shapes can change drastically, as we know. So I think there are optimal levers, like an optimal morphology, shape and size. It has a big impact in sport. Like people used to say, if you're over 7 foot in back, I think every inch over 6'6" doubles your chance of getting in the NBA, right? The taller you are, the easier it is, right? Big improvements. I think the bottom line is the shorter the running event, the more you can get away with being bigger and stronger. So most hybrids know now that you've got to carry enough muscle mass whilst also being a good running, because no matter how we call it hybrid, because it's it's a mix of endurance and strength, but fundamentally the bias is still towards aerobic capacity. Like the Hyrox is biased towards running. Deadly doesn't. Still, no matter how strong you are, you've got to have aerobic power. You've got to have that real engine in you, right? So there's always that bias towards actually being fit in the conventional sense. But the smaller the running, the more you can be a bigger powerhouse. So it's like, I think this is Deadly from Hyrox. Deadly Dozen was a closer step towards the CrossFit crowd. And I think now we're producing the sprint. That's an even closer step towards that CrossFit crowd. So I think the sprint will just allow stronger folk to excel. People that are more biased towards the gym. When we do we have a question that we do at the end of podcasts where we go like run or lift. And I think it will allow the people that say lift to do better on the sprint. So hopefully we'll get a load more people coming through to fitness racing, the conventional type, which is like run, exercise, run, that are not runners at all. And they're just like, I'm happy to do 200s, but I'm strong. I'm going to rep them labors. I'm going to absolutely send. And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing, actually.
Yeah, no, I think I probably am as well. I was like a fan of it. I think it'll be really interesting because you mentioned redlining earlier, and some people I've heard it from the horse's mouth in my gym, but some people have used the term, oh yeah, it'll be easier. I'm actually going to challenge that and ask you the question. It could actually be harder than a full track race, because with the shorter run, if you actually overdo it, you could find yourself halfway through the race and there's no reserves left.
Yeah. Well, I think the bottom line is, right, the longer something is going to be more of a challenge to the untrained individual. So I do think out the free, say if we go, Hyrox, Decker, Deadly, right, 8, 10, 12, right, I always wanted that to be like big free conventional fitness sessions. Yes, Decker and Deadly have these gym race variations like the strong versions, but the conventional model of run, exercise, run is the one that's longer in general is going to be a challenge to someone that's unconditioned, because they're like, wow, it's 8 times 1K. So Hyrox is going to be that biggest challenge. Decker is definitely for the novice, the most accessible, right? It just is. It's even the fit. You've got 500-meter runs, which is actually longer than Deadly Dozen, but it's not 6. The labors are so laborsome in Deadly. I think it's a little less accessible than the Decker, right?
Yeah.
In terms of you have to put the work in to do them 60 push press, the 60 snatch and stuff like that, right? It's 120 meters of bear crawl. I think Deadly by nature is going to punish you that little bit more. Now, that being said, when it comes to people that are fit and they're going to send it, they're going to go hard, what often happens is as you pull the distance down, you've not got the time to pace, so you're going to go harder. And that's why some people go, the Decker Strong's the hardest event I've ever done, because they've absolutely red zone. There's no time to pace. So we had Danny Ray in Macclesfield, who did incredibly well for like 42 minutes. He said that he found the runs harder because he was running at, say, for example, if he could run a 340, 350k at a high rocks and he's feeling good, he's on a roll. He was saying that running the 400s at a 4-minute k pace, he was absolutely hanging. He was red zoning because it's just short, sharp, and fast. So these, we overwhelmingly get people say Deadly Dozens, the 400-meter run is the hardest thing they've ever done, and that's just because it's short and they've gone harder. And so you red zone. So now we're taking this race to be even shorter. Like I pace myself on Deadly Dozen. I know I'm good at the labours. I'm not as good as a runner at the moment. So I pace my runs a little bit more and then I hit the labours hard. When it comes to the sprint event, there's no time to pace. So actually, most people are going to finish up. Most of the competitive people that are good fitness racers, as in, whole spectrum of what's good, like as in that they've been training for fitness racing for a while, is they're going to do that sprint and it's going to absolutely destroy them. They're going to cross the finish line like Dave Parkin does, where he just rolls onto the floor and is dying. And that's how they're going to finish, because that's how you'll have to finish to have a competitive time within your age group.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be it's going to be a spectacle to watch, and it'll be interesting to see if so far what we've seen. We haven't given too much background into the gym races on either show that we've recorded, but there's lots of information out there on those. Like someone like Dave Parkin, who's the current male world record holder for the track race, is also dominating the gym races. Would you expect that pattern to continue initially in the sprint?
Yeah, I think he will dominate there because he's so fast. He's a bit of an outlier. We are getting women through now, like Rachel Hodgkinson. She's going sub. She got a penalty, but she's going sub 40. I think we're going to get some really powerful women coming through. But yeah, I think he's dominating because he's just so good at labours and he's put 110% into it now. So he was already very good. We're starting to. I mean, you weren't even getting on the podium in Mac if you were over 40 minutes. The standards raising, but he is so good at the labours that few can compete. There's loads of better runners than him. But we recently had Luke Greer on the podcast, running a 29-minute 10k, best running high rocks. That'll be going out soon, and but he wouldn't be able to get anywhere near Dave on. Dave can't get near him on a high rocks. He ain't getting near Dave on a Deadly Dozen because he just won't be good enough at the labours. So I do think Dave will probably take the sprint. But I do think if we get some CrossFitters in that can suffer, they'll start moving these weights like they're nothing, and they'll be so fast and so fit because CrossFitters are just unreal. They're just, some of them just haven't got that running base, so they can't compete in the conventional fitness races because, like I said, there's still that bias. But what I would like to see, it would be interesting actually. I think a lot of the gym races are close enough. It will be interesting to see whether when we start running the large scale strongs, which we will, hundreds if not thousands of people to a strong event. It'll be interesting to see whether we start getting some different athletes come through and dominate them, because we will eventually be doing world championships for all the gym races. So there's actually 12 gym races now. Not all of them are released. So gyms around the world will be able to run all 12 of them gym races. And I'll list that. So you've got the DFT, but you'll also have the DFT strong. So that's 2. Then you've got the Deadly Strong, the Deadly Erg, the Deadly Erg 2. You've got the Deadly Road, the Deadly Ski, the Deadly Bike Erg, the Deadly Air Bike. But then you've got Deadly Barbell, which is the 6 lifts. You've got Deadly Strongman, Strong Woman. And then you'll have Deadly Hybrid, which is our testing battery event. So gyms will be able to run them all around the world, and they all go onto the leaderboards. Especially, that's one that Dave won't win, is the Deadly Barbell, because you've got men and women. That we had a woman in South Africa lift insane numbers. People are getting 800, 900 kilo totals, 2 rep maxes across 6 lifts. And also Deadly Hybrid includes 3 barbell lifts as well. So Dave, admittedly from himself, he won't be getting the titles for Deadly Hybrid. He won't get the title for Deadly Barbell. He might get for Strongman, because Strongman's very much Strongwoman's a mix to be like quite a fitness racing type event. But we'll see. But yeah, there's a lot. We wanted events for everyone in the gyms, and our aim now is to expand to. I would like in the next 2 years to have gyms in over 100 countries, and I'm certain we will.
Yeah, no, with the deadly strong for sure. The deadly barbell. You definitely from a personal point of view here. There's a few of our members that haven't really touched any High Rocks deck or deadly dozen at all, and then you introduced barbell, and they were straight in there. So they've now participated in something, and they've done it. But Dave did personally say to me actually that he would just be doing a deadly barbell just to get the patch for his collection. So he obviously
he's a massive patch collector.
Yeah, he admits that he's not going to be the leader in that. I think we've covered this, but I do want to ask the specific question. So you're now going into the indoor arena space as well, which is probably where we've seen like fitness racing come from as the main thing. And you went out onto the track as the main showpiece of what you created, but now you're joining in with the indoor, yet still keeping it completely different. You're not just replicating High Rocks or Deca, you're actually doing something completely different and on brand with what you've done so far. Now you're going into the indoor space. Do you sort of see plans for this becoming that global sensation as well?
Yeah, so we, even though we will do large indoor strongs, because we'll probably run them at the indoor tracks because there's such amazing facilities with purpose-built arenas, and the strong is another race that you can watch everything all in one go. It's very easy to organize and run with timing chips as well, and it'll be incredibly popular because it's a fitness race without running that takes people. The fastest in the world are 20 minutes, just sub 20, but most people anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. It takes people a while, so it's a very good race, the strong, and a lot of people say it's hard and the strong, so that will be in the big stadiums and we'll be doing that. The bottom line is with Deadly Dozen is I don't want to be the biggest event in the world. Obviously that'd be great. I want Deadly Dozen to be more like CrossFit was, in a sense that it was like almost like a methodology. So we have our 12 labors, and they're the brand, right? And the idea was, as you know, bodyweight dumbbells, kettlebells, weight plates, fundamental movements in their most simple form. Everything you do in the gym, but you can progress to barbell variations. Goblet squat can be a back squat. The weight plate clean and press, as we call it, which is a ground to overhead, is obviously you clean and jerk. Your dumbbell snatch is your barbell snatch, right? So it encapsulates everything in a gym. But I want the Deadly Dozen to be almost like infrastructure within the fitness industry, right? So I always talked about Deadly Dozen similar to a park run, but I want it to be more than that. I want it to be almost like part of the fitness ecosystem. So when anyone goes to starts training, does physical training, right? They might sign up to a 5K, a 10K, they might do a half marathon, they might do a triathlon, they might do a powerlifting meet, they might do some weightlifting, stuff like that. Fitness is only going one way, and younger people are doing more and more of it. I want Deadly Dozen to be that thing where you're training it in the gym, you're doing the labors, you're doing a DFT at home, there's a global leaderboard. That's why I've invested so much into developing what I consider to be the best leaderboards in the world. It's why I've got all these different variations, because I want it to be that if you're into physical training, at some point you've done some form of Deadly Dozen.
Yeah.
Where that's what I want Deadly Dozen to be. I don't want it to be, right, you're in this big convention center and there's tens of thousands of people and yeah, we've got 1 million participants a year. Yes, we want millions of participants a year, but that's across thousands of gyms that are running, profitable competitions for them, but posting. That's why we're developing results apps and stuff like that, and judging apps, so we can have thousands of gym races happening all over the world, from Deadly Barbell, Deadly Hybrid, Deadly Strong, Deadly Erg. We've got these track races indoors and out all over the world, so that it becomes part of the fitness industry's infrastructure. It's part of the ecosystem. It's not an event. It's like it's a system. So it's not reinventing the wheel. People say, "Oh, fitness racing is just circuit training." Yeah, no shit. Like it's circuit training turned into a race. It's turning fitness. The stuff you do in a gym is just making it a race, right? Gamifying it, making it more fun, giving someone a goal. Everyone wants what do all personal trainers know? You need a goal. What does a goal? Well, you need something to work towards. Why? Because it helps motivate you. It's the fundamentals of like being successful in your fitness journey, right? Fitness racing isn't creating a demand. It's fulfilling a huge demand that's there. People want to go out and do a physical activity. It's like, well, do you rock climb? Do you play conventional sports like football, tennis, cricket? Do you go and run a 10K? Do you go and do a fitness race? So I want Deadly Dozen to be more than just a big event in a stadium. I want it to be literally everywhere. Everyone that does fitness at some point has done something like that's even just based off the Deadly Dozen methodology. So, there's that Deadly Barbell event. I'm going to give that a go in my own gym. Not interested in the branding, not interested in signing up to a race, but I'm a strong guy. I'm going to give the Deadly Barbell a go just on a Friday afternoon. And if I can get everyone worldwide to look at deadlift and borrow from it, because for all the criticisms of CrossFit, the fitness industry borrows liberally from CrossFit. Even though some things predate CrossFit, like, EMOM, AMRAPs, all that, but they borrow from it because it created a system around Olympic weightlifting, gymnastic type movements, and sort of metabolic conditioning. It created a system. It gamified it. It turned it into a competition. That's what High Rocks has done and gone, we're this race. And they've High Rocks has done an amazing thing where they've gone, actually, let's really create this for everyone, competitive fitness. 8 runs, 8 stations. Let's put it in convention centers all over the world. High Rocks pioneered that. It's like amazing. I've gone, right, how do I make it even more accessible on tracks? How do I make it like a flat pack fitness race? How do I make it scalable by not having all the bells and whistles and making it a little bit grittier so we can have it in Mexico City, Johannesburg, everywhere? But then I'm like, that's not the real goal. The real goal is to have everyone within the fitness race borrow from the sort of ecosystem we create,
Well, in my recent High Rocks, and you talk about infrastructure in the fitness industry and methodology. In my recent High Rocks, I did very little specific wall ball training, but I'd done a hell of a lot of push press because I'd used Deadly Dozen methods of training. And I've never found wall balls so easy in my life.
Oh yeah, and that's it. I found the same thing, not to just promote the training, but goblet squats and push press. And then like the amount of people that messaged me and just were like, I've been doing Deadly Dozen and I sit predominantly on the 6 kilo wall balls. I'm doing 100 in a row. Definitely getting my Red Bull patch. So the amount of messages I got from that was insane. And they're because it's just muscle endurance.
Yeah.
Deadly Dozen was built for 2 things: aerobic power, red zone you, got to work hard, and muscle endurance. And muscle endurance, as I might have said previously, is my number 1 performance quality. That's what gets the job done. Muscular endurance, that's the most useful performance quality. Yeah, max strength, like one single effort, aerobic capacity, but it's like muscular endurance, like that's what keeps you going. That's what keeps you pushing the wheelbarrow and, stacking the shelves. It's like muscular endurance. And I love muscular endurance. I just think it's like the most undervalued, unglamorous performance quality, even in testing, because it's one of them things that's not as easy to test. You've got all VO2 max and you've got strength testing, you've got vertical jump testing. And as an S&C coach, muscular endurance was always left out, and you had these little old school tests of 2 minutes of press ups. But I think muscular endurance separates the men from the boys and the women from the girls. It's that's what really test you. I know a lot of strong people and a lot of fit people that can't do a fitness rate. I know a lot of good runners and a lot of super strong people, but it's like there's no real engine, there's no real work capacity. And it's
actually,
like
Jay, just sort of going on what you're saying there. I totally agree with you, and I'm with you. But if you even go one step further back and you talk about functionality of life, surely those with better muscular endurance will have a better quality of life.
Yeah, and the argument is that like the backbone of that is muscular strength. So you train your strength and you train your aerobic, your zone 2 and stuff like that, and then that creates the foundation of muscular endurance. But the bottom line is, like you get separate, specific, you get good at what you're doing, to put it simply, right? You've got to do it. So yeah, you want strength and conditioning programs is like general preparation, general physical preparedness and stuff like that, right? So build an aerobic base, do your tempo runs, do your intervals, build your strength. But the bottom line is you get good at what you do. And that's why when you train muscular endurance, you do get very good at it. And you just do. And when it comes to muscular endurance, to me, those that have really good muscular endurance stand out, and they're like the hardest workers. And I just think if you were saying it put me in any sort of physical job or anything, even in the military, obviously I was Army physical training instructor, I was in the infantry, I'd be like, I want the person that's got the best muscular endurance, because they're just a workhorse. Put
Yeah.
kit on the back, carry stuff, bricks, doesn't matter what it is. Like, it's just the most useful. And I honestly, I think it's the most. It's not a glamorous performance quality, but for me, it's the most useful.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you talked about that infrastructure again of like the fitness industry. And on your podcast, you met with co-founder Yancey of Deca, and you talked about writing a book for Deadly Dozen, but for fitness racing particularly. Can you just tell us a little bit about that book, and is that linked to what you were saying about that infrastructure of of our industry and Deadly Dozen becoming a part of that? Is that included in there?
Yeah. So I've written a lot of training manuals, pretty much step by step how to do stuff, and I've sold lots of copies, tens and tens of thousands of copies worldwide, but none of them are great books. They're not what I consider books, they're manuals. And because of what fitness racing has done for me and how much I love this sport of fitness racing and these events, all of them, I decided that I wanted to write a book about it all. And I wanted to write an all encompassing book, which was about, not step by step, was about the why. So the history, the philosophy of fitness, right back to ancient Greeks, feudal Japan, everywhere, all over the world, right? Tribal rites of passage, basically all the things that have led towards what fitness racing is now, right? So it's a little bit of timeline of not like of fitness history, right? The philosophy of why we do this, why in an age of comfort do we choose to go and do a race that makes us feel horrendous at the time? Why do we choose to suffer, train hard, when actually we can just sit and watch Netflix? And it was the first half of the book was about the why, and then the second half of the book was about how, like needs analysis, testing, goal setting, programming, how to do it. Yancey, I sent it to Yancey and said, "Can you please write the forwards for this?" And he read the book and he was sort of blown away. He was so complimentary about the book, and he's written the forward for it, and I really appreciate it. But then what I realized was it was almost two books. And people would be reading this book that's more of a narrative nonfiction about the fitness industry and where fitness has come from and tribal rites of passages and how humans used to do this and now we're doing this in an age of comfort, even though it can be hard times. But what I'm saying is there's far more convenience. There's less physical labor's not as prevalent these days. Obviously not speaking for all the tradies and stuff like that. But then the second half felt a bit more like a manual, more of an educational thing, even though I wanted it to be a manual that was, it was not a narrative nonfiction. It felt like a book you could read cover to cover. So what I've done is I've split the books in two. In the first book, I've kept intentionally so. It's like 65 pages, like less than 20,000 words. And I want it to be a book that even non-readers will read, and they'll read it, and hopefully they learn a little bit about fitness, and hopefully it like really motivates them to do something. It's me sort of going, I'm giving back to fitness racing and this sport and promoting it and saying, look, here's a book that I've wrote about the history of fitness and what has led to what is fitness racing now, which I believe is going to be the most influential aspect of the fitness industry over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
The second book is more of the training manual. And I've wrote loads of training manuals. There's some within the proper elite training manuals up there. But I wanted it to be something that was readable as well. So, with the age of YouTube, you can get all the information you ever want from YouTube and stuff like that, and it's all free. I wanted a book that someone could pick up. And I think when you do read, it's a little bit more permanent. You read something, it lasts longer. You get a deeper understanding. And I wanted it to just be a training manual that goes through, right, like I said, the needs analysis. What is fitness racing? What's the needs analysis? What is testing? How do you analyze the results? What's goal setting? What is periodization? What is programming? What is long-term athlete development? And that's the second book essentially. So I'm going to sort of finish editing both books, and I'm going to have them published and push them out there. And it's not about being a bestseller or making loads of money off them books. Them books are basically it's not me giving back. It's about me saying, look, fitness has done it. Fitness racing has done, because them books aren't about Deadly Dozen. I mentioned High Rocks, Decker, and Deadly Dozen as a free, but them books are me sort of going, look, guys, to the audience. There's me saying, it's a little bit of a thank you as well, I think, in some ways. But me going, look, here's my input. This is what my thoughts are. I'm going to tell you about fitness racing. How I've seen it, and I've spent I started writing them in January 2025. And I've been working on them most days since then. And
Nice.
it's been interesting, you know, and we're now in the age of AI. So that was one of the initial demotivators with writing manuals. AI can probably write a better manual than I can, better writer than me. So I wrote these books and I wanted it to be my own words. And then what was really interesting is actually, when you have a paragraph that doesn't read well, I'll try not to waffle on too much. I thought, right, I'll throw it into AI and have it edit. And at first, you're like, whoa, it's written in such a punchy, because I wanted these books to be punchy and motivational. And I was like, it's brilliant. It's brilliant for editing. But then as I sort of tried to edit a little bit more with AI, I was actually reading, as we got so much more used to AI, I was like, actually, it reads like AI slop. It's really
Yeah.
punchy and it's really good. But then actually when you're reading it and you've read lots of posts online and you've been on LinkedIn, you start to spot it and you go, that's not human. Even if it's really good, there's just a sense that it's not. So I wanted the books to be really punchy and really motivational and not, a really easy read for people. But actually, one of the best things that's happened over the last 6 months is when I've tried to use AI to edit, I've actually realized that even though AI is incredible, I was like, actually, you do need the human behind it. And yes, AI make it better, but it's not the same. And it's not
Yeah.
just all the M dashes, it's just not the same. It writes incredibly well. You have it write an article, it's punchy, it's well written, but it ain't the same. And actually, I say it in the first chapter of the first book that like AI was like, oh wow, like I'm spending hundreds of hours writing these manuals and I can put in how to perform a black swan and it just goes, there you go. I'm like, written that better than me. But actually, when it's come to the proper books, I've dabbled in using AI to edit them, and when I've got a paragraph that I'm like, it just doesn't read well, I can't get it right. I put it into AI and it's done a great job, but it comes out like slop. It comes out, it just feels fake, and that was it. That was actually really rewarding for me. That I was like, actually, it's about me putting my opinions on the paper and doing a bit of research. Sometimes using AI to research, but actually, it was about right. This is my opinions on fitness racing, not necessarily my opinions. This is what fitness racing is to me and what I've learned, and there you go.
Which I think will be really exciting for, people like me, gym owners, affiliates, to you guys. That passion that I'd go and watch this like I'd go and watch football or rugby now. It'd be really good to read something like that. So I think there'll be lots of us that are definitely anticipating that release and looking forward to it being out there for us to see. So just two really quick ones. Just give us a sort of quick recap of the sprint in terms of what's available now for people to get into and enter for the sprint.
So what we've got, let me bring up the list. So we've got two races that are the live, but there's more than that, and I'll let people know what is coming. So you've got 24th and 25th of October at the English Institute of Sport, and then we've released the 7th of November at London at Lee Valley. 7th of November, I think, is the one we've released.
Yeah.
And but actually, what we've got, I'll list the dates basically. I've got them up on my phone now. So we've got 24th, 25th October, English Institute of Sport. I'll say Sheffield. Sunday, 1st of November, potentially. If that one sells out, we'll do another Sheffield date. Just we want people to be able to race. That's a big thing for us. 7th of November, London. 28th of November, London. 12th of December, London. We're thinking 20th of December, so the Sunday before Christmas, like a Christmas send, because I just think people want to race. So I'm not 100% on that, but yeah, we reckon Sheffield, 20th of December, Christmas send, 13th of March in London, 10th and 11th of April, London. Now that was going to be a championships or an invitational, but actually I think for things to be you don't just want to throw the word championship all the time. Our world championships are legitimate. In Malta, we had over 60 nationalities complete. We've got thousands of people coming from all over the world. We've got over close to £200,000 of prize money. It's a legitimate championship race. So I think actually we're just going to leave them all open to everyone. None of them are going to be championships or anything like that. That's what I'm thinking, because it can only be a championship once it's well established. We've got thousands of competitors doing that race. So yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, with 2 of which are 2-day events. When it's a 2-day event, solo Saturday, pairs Sunday. When it's a 1-day event, solos in the morning, pairs in the afternoon. It's only solos and pairs, no relays. So there's 8 different weekends there that are going to be up for grabs. And yeah, I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting. There is one tangent question from that for me. have any of your international race directors, since you released the sprint, come to you and gone, we got a track, we want to do it here?
Yeah, several actually. And what's been discussed as well is the idea of running like an outdoor track and indoor, because some have outdoor and indoor tracks one location. Is people have been discussing ideas such as an outdoor race and indoor race and a strong all in one weekend, and being like a sort of strong fast fit, sort of how, you know, a sort of tribrid, get a new patch where you've got your strong event, you've got your sprint event, and you've got your sort of your run event, your 400 meters, so your 200, your 400, and your strong, or even doing both events in one weekend, for example. So yeah, lots of, not all countries have indoor tracks, unfortunately, but lots of countries are keen to run them, and lots of the directors worldwide are keen to run essentially festivals of fitness where they've got strong events going on, row events where they've got ski events. I know we're going to Davos in August in Switzerland, where they've got a big track race there in the Alps, and then a massive Swiss after party. So like I say, the big part of Deadly Dozen and fitness racing is the community. It's not just physical training and competition, it's community. That's a big part of why people do it. And the fitness tourism, like the Mediterranean champs in Malta, it's about tourism, going out and enjoying life. And that's a big part of it for us, is get the directors running these events as well, and getting people traveling.
Yeah, no, like the high rocks tourism that has engulfed Europe. When we went to Malta, we saw that, didn't we? We saw quite a lot of British people came out and did it just to travel to do Deadly Dozen. So I think that's already happening with Deadly Dozen in a way. So that's really cool to hear you say that as well. But when you just said that, my head's just going, Lee Valley, Lee Valley, Lee Valley. We could do that in Lee Valley. You could do that in Lee Valley. You know, like there's the indoor and the outdoor track there. So like some sort of
I think what we might
whatever.
look at Tribrid, yeah, I read a program once called like the Tribrid program, and it's the it was, the idea was sort of strong, fast, fit, and even though that's what hybrid is, but like we said before, hybrid's almost, fitness is everything, but we have a term hybrid because fitness was so specialized. That was the sort of the zeitgeist in the industry over the past sort of 10-20 years. But yeah, Lee Valley, you've got your outdoor track, you've got your indoor track, and on the indoor tracks you can run the strong. At the end of the day, you don't have to run around the outside. You can set up the strong. There's more than enough space to set up a strong for over 1,000 people and have it professionally timed. So at Lee Valley, we could definitely do you could have a tribrid weekend, or even just a hybrid weekend where you do the outdoor track and the indoor track one day. You might, I don't know which order we'll do it in. You might do the strong, the sprint, and then the outdoor one. 3-day event. You could do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for example. These days, people are willing to give it a go, aren't they? So, or you could do sort of a strong in the morning, sprint in the afternoon, and then the track race on the Sunday.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. And you earn a special patch for that, because that's something, I think Spartan did incredibly well, and Decker, fantastic, and people love it. It's like what we were saying about Dave Parker, he's got about 75 patches now. And that's one thing I did from the start, was like, we want badges on the leaderboards, which Mark has done an incredible job of, and we want patches, and we want these really cool Maury medals, because I think people enjoy that stuff, and that's what we want. We want people to, it's the gamification of fitness. It's not reinventing the wheel, and that's what keeps people motivated. That's our aim, is to show people a good time and keep them motivated to train, and give them the opportunities to meet new people, and build a community around health and fitness and racing. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And is there a Maury medal for the sprint?
Yeah, we'll give this. We could have. We'll give the Maury medal for the sprint, because it's so cool. Like everyone says it. The feedback as a whole is that it's the best medal in the world. That's what I've been told.
It's brilliant.
It's so heavy. It's so heavy. It's cool. It's unique. You collect them, and it's like skull collecting. There's gold ones, but yeah, there'll be a specific patch. I mean, what we're leaning into now is lots of different patches. Like in Germany, every city has a different patch. In South Africa, they do incredible patches. We've got the USA patch coming out now. Malta's done an incredible Mediterranean patch. So we've got all these cool patches. I know the Oz and the New Zealand patches are fantastic. Interested to see the patches in France and Benelux and places like that. So the patches are cool. People collect them. So yeah, we want to lead into that whole side of things. People enjoy it.
Yeah,
and I think it's important for people to, at the main events, it's important to get a patch and a medal. Just to reiterate, now on the track races, you also get flags for overall winners. That's 60 flags on an event, right? for overall. At the championship races, we do the age groups, and that ends
Yeah.
up being over 800 flags. Because there's 13, essentially 12 age categories plus the overall category. So it's a lot of flags. So it doesn't happen at every main event, but it happens at the championship races. You get flags, and they're pretty cool. People love them. I mean, it's a standard. ROX has led the way with that, haven't they? Really, like you get a flag, it's almost an expectation.
Yeah, no, and they'll look good in the gym when one of our lot finally come and get one. It'll definitely be the way forward. So I normally finish with a top 3 tips. I'm going to change it. As the founder of Deadly Dozen, you've got a brand new person wanting to do Deadly Dozen and they want to get to the track race. What would be the kind of steps that you would recommend if they were going to do 2 or 3 races to get to the track race via the Deadly Dozen system? For example, would you say, try a DFT first, then do this, and then end up at the track race? What would you sort of say?
Yeah, if they wanted to dabble in the gym race side, is get a DFT and a strong under your belt, and then try. Usually, people go for an erg 1, but an erg 1 is spicy. You start with the long row and the long ski in the middle. I would do a DFT and a strong, and then basically pick whatever erg 1 you want, because what you're doing is you're swapping out the run with any erg, and that erg 2 is mixed erg, so you mix between them, and that people love that race because it's so varied. But I would do the DFT 110% with the run, because that's almost like was the fitness test designed for the Deadly Run. Do it with an outdoor run. Don't get too sucked into like treadmill running stuff like that. That's really good, but try running outdoors, coming back in, doing a labor. Do a Deadly Strong, because it's just going to show you how spicy them labors are. And then do a sim. Do your own sim. Have a pop at the race. It helps everyone. You don't want to over sim. Don't sim all the time. Like, that's the advice throughout the industry. But fundamentally, if you're doing Deadly Dozen, give it a crack. And it's so accessible, but it's really difficult. But that's what it needs to be. You want it to be suffering. You want it to be pushing you. That's what fitness racing is all about. It's about low complexity, not too high of a strength barrier, but it pushes your limits. And that's exactly what every human needs. That's what the books are about. Why in an age of relative convenience, although there's lots of other hardships, but you're not expected to walk miles and miles for water every day. That's what I mean by that. Is why do we then choose to run around a track or run around a convention center? Because it's voluntary hardship, and voluntary hardship, getting all into the stoicism, is that what human needs? It's what they thrive in. When you exert yourself, you feel better. As we all know, exercise is good, but that's what it is. Fitness racing is just an arena. It's just a way of giving the human body the exertion that it's evolved to need on a regular basis.
Yeah, no, awesome, brilliant. I think anyone who's listening or anyone who's watching will have heard the passion that you have for this, and you've created something that I feel is changing lives as well. And I'm really, if I'm appreciative of it, then there must be loads of other people that feel the same, and certainly some of my fellow affiliates of Deadly Dozen, when we speak, it's certainly come in and changed our worlds in that sense as well. So, thanks for creating what you've done, because it has made fitness racing so much bigger in my eyes, and it's just blooming good fun as well. It's just really fun, and we, spending most of the summer with you guys as well, which will be great. And I think there'll be many people that will see at multiple track races, multiple gym races, and I think you've changed a lot. So for me, it's a massive thank you for sure, and thanks for coming on and talking us through the sprint, because it certainly sounds like a massive future for Deadly Dozen. So really appreciate your time, Jay.
No worries. I really appreciate you coming on. You having me on, should I say. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, and to anyone who's listening, guys, do share this episode if you think it's going to be handy for anyone. I know there's been questions about what medal and patch and stuff for the sprint out there. So do share this with anyone that is asking the questions. And from me today, thanks again, once again, Jason, for coming on. Really appreciate your time. And to everyone that has listened, please like, share, subscribe, comment. We little guys really appreciate that. And for now, I just want to say thanks, and I will speak to you again with more On The ROX.